What is going on, everybody? We're here. We're live for another House of the Dragon breakdown spoiler review. This time it's of episode 3, The Burning Mill. We're going to let a couple people get in here before we actually hop into the breakdown of the episode. Overall, I think that this, for some people, it's going to be interesting to see the reaction to this as a whole. We got a lot more essentially build up to this ultimate battle that we know is going down in episode 4, where if you've seen some of the titles for the episode, you already know what the title of the episode is going to be. We've heard, if you know the book, you know which battle this is leading up to, which is very exciting. Fire and blood is about to officially rain down on Westeros as this civil war between Targaryens. There's no stopping it now. That's basically what this episode was showing, that despite any and all efforts that might be made to stop this ship, nothing can stop it now. It is in motion. And these women that have, had opportunities to end it at each and every opportunity, they've been very reluctant to. And now the entire continent is about to be drawn into this massive battle where thousands and thousands and thousands of people are going to die, all for a chance to sit on a throne made of swords. That's what we saw this episode lean into. You see Rhaenyra struggling with her decisions. She's very indecisive. She doesn't want to go to war. She's trying desperately to do anything to prevent it. You see the fallout from the Greens. The removal of Otto Hightower as Hand of the King is going to have a pretty profound impact on what's going on, because Aegon wants to go to war. He just put Criston Cole in charge. Criston Cole, who is not ready for all the power he has, but we know what he's going to do with power. He is going to try to be a steel fist for Aegon. He wants to go to battle. He wants war. Daemon, with everything we just saw in the fallout from the last episode, he is on his way to Harrenhal, and he wants to fight. Daemon is ready to fight somebody. He wants to take Harrenhal. He wants to show how strong he is, what action means, to take action, where he thinks Rhaenyra is being very inactive right now. It doesn't feel like she's taking action when she should. Daemon is about to show what it means to take some action, and a little bit of everything else thrown in between. But yes, we are here. We're live, and we're ready to rock and roll. Side note, I feel like you'd look like Daemon Targaryen if you let your hair grow and shave my beard. Hey, I know some people that have a big crush on Daemon. So, I mean, I guess I'll take that. Over under the Gullet is the final episode. No way that's happening. No way the Battle of the Gullet's happening in the last episode. I think that's going to happen in season 3. If this was 10 episodes instead of 8 for this season, then I would tend to agree with you. And I personally thought that'd be the perfect spot to end it. But based on what everybody said, they didn't film Battle of the Gullet this week or this season. So I wish. Too much dick this episode. There was dick. There was tits and there was dick. Some hard cock in this episode, actually. And some floppy dick as well. But we might as well get into this. Let's they 100% set up this episode for what's going to come in the Gullet. 100%. They did. But let's get into this. We start with the intro because there has been a change. We do now officially have a little bit of a change here for the introduction. Obviously, a lot of people were wondering, would they change the intro as more things happen? Well, they certainly do, because there's poor little Jaehaerys. Poor Jaehaerys, the heir to the Iron Throne. Well, you're about to see this thread come through and show what they did to him. Just cut off his fucking head. Boom. And then in immediate aftermath, you see rat catchers being hung when they were punished by Aegon. And now it all leads up to this House of the Dragon, the introduction. Now we start off with the Brackens and the Blackwoods. The Brackens and the Blackwoods historically have hated each other. They hate each other's houses. They're constantly feuding. They have religious differences. They share a border. They're constantly having problems with people feel like, oh, well, our land is here. Don't encroach on our land. Stop trying to move our territory. Stop trying to move our borders. And they're having a little interaction. And one of the things they also now disagree on are the Brackens are standing firmly in the Green camp, supporting King Aegon. And the Blackwoods are supporting Queen Rhaenyra. and a little bit of back and forth. This is a theme that we've seen, these younger people that exist in this world really kind of flying off of the handle sometimes and making these rash judgments because it's what they've learned from their parents and their parents before them. And this cycle of violence continues, and it absolutely continues between the Blackwoods and the Brackens. And it ends up escalating. Somebody pulls a sword. You got a Blackwood that's saying, "Come and get me, bitch." Well, everybody gets got. You can see here, you have a burning mill in the background. This is the Battle of Burning Mill, which in the books, it does take place around this time period. It's actually a little bit after Harrenhal has fallen, I believe, when this occurs. And it is described in some detail in the book. But to be honest, it doesn't involve any characters that so far have had any real screen time in House of the Dragon, like characters that we don't know. So there were some people that may have wanted to see the massive battle play out, but you can see just thousands of people on this battlefield are now dead. And this is the first true battle in this civil war. Now, not officially sanctioned by Team Black or Team Green, but when you have this type of fallout, that's going to draw a lot of attention, and it's not going to be something that can just be undone just like that. And, you know, I don't know why they didn't show this battle, but honestly, because there's no named characters that we know of, like, that are really involved in it, I can understand why they probably didn't want to waste the budget on a fight scene for people that we don't actually care anything about. So I kind of get that. Now, back to Dragonstone. How fucking sad is this? After what we just witnessed, the fallout of the Arik and Eric duel, Rhaenyra makes the decision to bury them together. And Jace is kind of upset. He's like, he sullies the honor of his brother. You shouldn't even put him in the same grave. And Rhaenyra says, well, at the same time, he was just kind of following his orders and where he thought his duty was. And you did see that moment before Eric and Arik had their duel where Arik is like, you know, I'm sorry. I wish I didn't have to do this, but this is what it's come to before he tries to kill Rhaenyra. And you have Rhaenys sitting there whispering in Rhaenyra's ear that, hey, listen, there's no way that Otto would have had his hands in something like this. This wouldn't be like Otto Hightower. It has to be somebody else that's influencing the Greens' decision for them to do something this rash, to send a Kingsguard to assassinate you. I don't know if that's exactly right. We saw Otto in season 1 very much prepared to have Rhaenyra murdered, right? In the aftermath of King Viserys' death. So I think that suggestion by Rhaenys is actually probably not true. Now, do I think it would be as much subterfuge, or whether they just would send a bunch of people and kill her? I don't know. But I don't know if it's beyond something that Otto might do. I just don't think Otto would have done it in this instance. I think the reason that Otto was so mad in the last episode of what Aegon and Kristen Cole did wasn't because, wasn't necessarily because there was because he was necessarily opposed to an assassination like that. I think it was more the grand scale of things and how they completely fucked up the propaganda that he had so perfectly set into place. So now you give the opportunity for them to also put this propaganda out there. You get the opportunity for the Blacks to take a win in that way. So I think that's maybe more of the reason why Otto was opposed to it. And throughout this entire series, we've seen Rhaenys pushing this notion that, hey, we as women need to hold the men back from their instincts for violence and battle and all of this shit. But I think there's a lot of irony to that, because of the 3 women that are truly like involved in a big way in this story, Alicent, Rhaenyra, and Rhaenys, all of them at one point in time have had an opportunity to end this thing with very little bloodshed, right? Like these are options. These are things that they could have done and have not decided to do. Rhaenys, obviously in episode 9, had the opportunity to wipe out all of the Greens in one moment. Boom, it's over. No civil war. She doesn't do it. Alicent has the opportunity to allow Otto to use his plan to murder Rhaenyra, kill Rhaenyra, and, maybe take her sons hostage or something. Who knows? Maybe just wipe them all out. Who knows what would have actually happened? She is the one that refuses to allow that to happen and wants to make peace with Rhaenyra, give her the opportunity to surrender. And we have seen Rhaenyra for the last several episodes be completely fucking indecisive, refuse to take action when swift action could mean the immediate end of this war. So you have these women who think that they are, think that they're doing the right thing by trying to hold men back from these violent instincts, when in reality, if you had taken action and not been indecisive, this shit would already be over. And would it have cost some life? Yeah, would have spilled some blood, but it would be nothing compared to what is about to come. But anyway, so you have them having this little conversation there. Now, back to Sir Criston Cole, who, and this is a great shot, actually. You see the Cargill twins getting buried. And then the next fucking shot, look at this. Right up to Criston Cole looking down, almost he's looking down upon them. Criston Cole is a fucking mess. Criston Cole looks like he could snap at any time. He is racked with guilt, not just for the people he's sent to die, but also for what he's been doing and for him not being there to prevent the death of the heir to the throne. He's angry. He's upset. He probably feels like he's being used again. Criston Cole is going through it right now. And I actually think the actor does a great job of conveying that just through his emotions in his eyes and stuff like that throughout this entire season. But he's hurting right now. And he realizes it's time for him to go because the Council of Greens is assembling. And as he walks in, he sees, interestingly enough, there's some different people in the King's Guard, and they are not behaving how King's Guardsmen should. Now, these were all of Aegon's friends from the first couple episodes, his buddies that he's drinking with, that he's fucking around with. All of a sudden, unbeknownst to Criston Cole, he's got several new members of the King's Guard who are sitting down on the job, who are leaning up against shit, who are joking around, who are not acting professional. Now, Criston Cole certainly hasn't acted appropriately as Lord Commander of the King's Guard, but he sees this and he's not happy with it because it does show that it's not a good look. Whoops, I didn't mean to go that far. It is not a good look for Kingsguard like that, especially when he's been unable to protect them with the people he's had now. Now, he goes in here and everyone is bickering and arguing. Criston Cole is now Hand of the King, a title that he really should not have. And very cool that he has the necklace of interlocking hands. That's actually what the hands symbol is in the books. That was changed a little bit for Game of Thrones. I think we did see Tyrion wear it one time when he did have armor on, where you couldn't pin on the hand. But all the other times in the shows so far, we have seen the hand symbol being depicted with just that pin. That's not how it was in the books. That was a change they made for Game of Thrones, and that they've carried on a House of the Dragon. But it's cool to see him now that he's in his armor wearing the actual necklace that shows the interlocking hands that is his symbol, that he is Hand of the King. And everybody's fighting and bickering because Aegon wants to go to war. Aegon's happy to hear this battle between the Blackwoods and the Brackens, and Tyland's sitting there saying, I don't know if we can call this a victory. Everybody fucking took a bunch of losses. Fights are starting to break out. This is getting a little contentious here. We need to do something. We need to act. Aegon just wants to go to war. Alicent is preaching, restraint. The Maester is saying, hey, we could send some ravens out, blah, blah, blah. But immediately it's clear that the absence of Otto Hightower's leadership, the Green Council is kind of in disarray. And it's probably not going to go well for them. Aemond is now a part of this council as well. Criston Cole refuses to allow Vhagar to take action. Criston Cole has a plan. He's going to gather the forces they have here right now. He's going to go to the Riverlands. He's going to hopefully be able to meet up with some of their other forces that are in the area, some of their aligning forces, and take Harrenhal. Because Criston Cole and Aemond are on the same mind as Daemon. Hey, let's go to the Riverlands. This is the part that's in contention right now. We know that different people in Old Town and Lannisport and the North and the Vale, these people have already said, hey, we're on these opposing sides. But it's going to take a while for them to actually gather their forces and muster those forces all the way to where predominantly this fighting is going to be, which is going to be in the Riverlands. Harrenhal is in the Riverlands. Harrenhal is the biggest castle around, even though it's been fucking melted by Aegon the Conqueror. Daemon knows that seat of power needs to be taken. Criston Cole knows that as well. But he refuses to allow Aemond to take Vhagar there. Aegon really wants to bring Sunfire. Aegon really wants to show that he's a king, that I can fly this fucking dragon. We can do damage to them. And everybody knows dragons against armies, it's not even a fucking option. You're gonna be able to dominate them. But there's a lot of hesitancy to allow Aegon to do that. But he basically says, no, fuck it. I'm going to go out there and we're going to go to war. I am as fearsome as any of them. You see Aegon's kind of his insecurities playing out a little bit because everybody looks to his brother as the mighty warrior and the dragon rider with Vhagar and all this shit. Aegon wants people to respect him as well. Back on Dragonstone. Actually, let's catch up a couple super chats here. Vermithor for $10. Hail, brother. Still wondering what happened to the 4th dragon egg they sent east. Could it play into future plans? Possibly redo Game of Thrones? Could it be an unhatched egg given to young Griff? So we're going to get to that. And when we get to that scene, I'll talk about that a little bit. And then Vermithor for 5. In my head, that is the mill that Robb almost got to corner the mountain and Edmure Tully messed it up. Maybe. Maybe. That might be the case. That might be the case. Now back on Dragonstone. We get confirmation that Mysaria, the White Worm, is the one that warned Rhaenyra that this was going to happen. Yet as she was on her way to the ship, she saw Sir Eric when she had just seen Sir Eric. So she knew something was up. She's the one that warned the castle, and that's the reason that Rhaenyra's life was saved. I am not the biggest fan of the dynamic between these two. I feel like they trust each other too easily. This is somebody who really, Rhaenyra should think a million times before she trusts. And I just think the trust comes a little too easily for somebody who has shown they're willing to work with anybody if the motivations are correct. But Lady Mysaria says, hey, I want to work with you. You showed me like, by letting me go, like you showed me the kind of like person you are, whatever, that I can have faith in you. And I want to work for you. I want to help you out. And Rhaenyra is not quite sure what to feel about that. They do see Sea Smoke once again. Now, Sea Smoke was a Driftmark earlier. Now he's circling Dragonstone. Rhaenyra says he's restless, and that a lot of the dragons are getting restless. They can sense war is coming. But specifically, Sea Smoke seems to be searching for something. Maybe he's searching for a rider. I don't know. Now we have a conversation between Rhaenyra and Rhaena. So Rhaena is the sister, the daughter of Daemon and Laena Velaryon. And she is the one that doesn't have a dragon, right? Baela's got Moondancer. Rhaena does not. Baela got to hang out with Corlys and Rhaenys and everybody on Driftmark for like her entire upbringing. Wasn't exactly the same for Rhaena. Rhaena ends up having to be on Dragonstone with Rhaenyra and with Daemon. And Daemon is not exactly the most attentive father. Rhaena probably feels like she's overlooked all the time. And Rhaenyra is about to tell her, hey, I need you to do something for me. I can't have my kids here. I cannot have my children here that aren't of fighting age. I need to take Joffrey. I need to take Aegon. I need to take Viserys. And I need you to take them. I need to take Joffrey, go to the Vale because they want a dragon. This is the only thing we can do. This is all we can offer her for her support. And then I want you to take the other ones to Pentos. I want you to go across the seas and I want you to keep them safe because they need to be as far away from here as possible. Rhaena doesn't want to do this at all. She doesn't want to be sent away. She doesn't want to be like essentially a mother to these children. She feels like her life is very unfulfilled. And Rhaenyra says, listen, I can't make you happy. All I'm doing is I just please, I need you to do this. And eventually Rhaena agrees. Now, Harrenhal. Now, Harrenhal is a very important structure, like thematically, symbolically, and just in general. It is the biggest castle, was at one point in time, the biggest castle in the Seven Kingdoms. And Lord Harren decided that he wanted to build the biggest fucking castle possible. He invades, he's Ironborn. He invades, he comes into the Riverlands, and he takes all these fucking things. And he chops down weirwood trees. He ends up fucking killing hundreds of people in an effort to actually build this thing up. And he finally does. And on the day it's completed, 40 years of construction or something, I think, for Harrenhal. And on the day it's completed is the day that Aegon the Conqueror comes to Harrenhal and says, hey, I want you to bend the knee. I'm taking over this bitch. Everybody's bending the knee to me, blah, blah, blah. Why don't you do the same? Harren is like, nah, fuck you. I have the biggest castle. It's impenetrable. No army can get into it. Nothing can happen. And Aegon's like, listen, as big as your castle is, as tall as your castle is, I can go higher. I do have a dragon after all. Harrenhal basically spits on him, or Harren, sorry, spits on him, says, fuck you. I don't give a shit. I'm going to go inside. I'm going to lock myself up. You can't get in here. Aegon says I don't know what exactly Aegon says. Some of the effect of, when the sun sets, your line will end. And this is exactly what he does. Balerion, the Black Dread, comes, burns that shit. Now, the stone doesn't burn, but it does melt. And he essentially turns Harrenhal into a ruin, which is still like a serviceable structure, but the roofs are leaking. A lot of things are melted. A lot of things are destroyed. But it still is a structure and a potentially powerful seat in Westeros, despite the disrepair that it's in. And we get this sequence of Daemon coming in. Look at this fucking look. On the back of Caraxes, as he's coming in on the ruins of Harrenhal. It was a very cool sequence, honestly. A very cool sequence. And Daemon goes in there expecting to find some resistance. Now, right now, Harrenhal is being controlled by the Strongs. It is actually still, what's his fucking name? Larys Strong, who is with the Greens. He's the one who is technically the owner of Harrenhal at this point in time. But he's not there, obviously. Probably got other members of the Strong family, but Daemon expects to find some resistance. And as he's walking through here, the vibe is very creepy and spooky. He's looking at these destroyed ruins. He's probably thinking about what fucking happened here back in the day. It's an eerie, creepy vibe. And throughout its entire history, Harrenhal is, people feel like it's cursed. Everybody who's ever owned Harrenhal, like who is the lord at Harrenhal, usually comes to a bad ending somehow. A lot of family lines have been wiped out who have taken over Harrenhal. So many people died making Harrenhal and building it. They cut the weirwoods down, which should be considered like sacrilege, because what the weirwoods represent and really the memories and the spirits that live within inside them. So people took that as a bad omen. And there's just been a bunch of weird shit. People think it's haunted. People think they hear things. People think they see visions when they go to Harrenhal. And I'd have to imagine that's somewhat on Daemon's mind as he's going through this creepy place, as it's raining, it's storming. It is a weird vibe. It really is. And now the reason Daemon wants to do, and Daemon looks fucking awesome in this. His armor looks sick as shit. I like his helmet. Kind of wish he had the winged one out, but probably shouldn't be wearing that if you're gonna be doing battle in a fucking castle. But Daemon went here to seek out a fight, right? That's what Daemon does. Daemon seeks out conflict when he is feeling a certain way. We've seen him do it before. That's what he's doing now. He has this falling out with Rhaenyra where he essentially, like, Rhaenyra confronts him with some of the problems that Daemon does have and some of the resentment that Daemon still has towards her and really his brother for a variety of reasons. And she's spot on. But Daemon's also spot on when he's talking about the inaction of Rhaenyra is a symptom of that, like, that is weakness. And it's something that she got from Viserys. His inaction resulted in a lot of bad things happening. Daemon doesn't want to be that. Daemon is taking action. And he wants to show everybody what the fuck he's doing by taking over the biggest fucking castle in Westeros and by putting them in a perfect spot to fight this war going forward. And it's just a really spooky vibe as Daemon goes through here. Now, he does find one person. There's one guard here. Daemon's like, oh, who the fuck is this guy? He's told, halt, stop, boom, boom, get fucked. You're down. He didn't kill him. He could have just ran him through, I suppose. But he just punches him into submission, no problem. And then he's like, let's see who's actually here. And it's like nothing, right? There is no resistance. This is the uncle of Lionel Strong. So Lionel Strong is the father of Larys Strong. So that would be, I guess, Larys's great uncle. And he immediately is like, yeah, we don't want any problems here. We bend the knee. We swear fealty to Queen Rhaenyra and the Blacks. And Daemon's like, what? It's just that easy? And they proceed to sit down and have a conversation where Daemon Daemon forces him to call him Your Grace. Daemon is trying to, is trying to say like, well, what we're going to do is we're going to come in here. We're going to build this place up. We're going to make this a fortress again, a fortress like that we can have a lot of defenses for. We're going to put the time, money, and resources. We're going to build Harrenhal back up. And the Castellan, Strong, is like, we don't have those kind of resources. We don't have that kind of manpower. We're like, look at this place. It's falling apart. It's in ruins and has been for literally, I guess, a century and a half or more at this point. Or no, maybe a century and 30 years, 130 years. It's been in ruins like this, where we're not just going to fix it up in no time. He also talks about how he has no love for his, I guess, great nephew, it would be, because in his mind, they suspect Larys of killing Lionel and Harwin. Like, what do you mean a fire just starts in Harrenhal? You've seen it. It's wet in here. It's damp. It's dank. We can't even keep fires going in the fireplaces because of the disrepair that Harrenhal's in. Yeah, we think that he had something to do with my nephew's death. So they have no love for Larys at all, which is one of the reasons that they are very willing to swear to Queen Rhaenyra. And really, probably didn't matter who came in there. I don't think they have too much allegiance to either side. Like, they've seen things come and go. This castle itself is symbolic of when people think they're building all this power, how easy it is for it to just come crumbling down. And it doesn't seem like the people here really care all too much about that. Now, there was one person that made an appearance. I don't know if I can find her. Daemon's armor does look fucking amazing, by the way. And also, Daemon he refuses to eat because he thinks that maybe it's poison. Maybe they're trying to trick him. They're not. They just simply don't care. They're going to swear to Rhaenyra, and that's fine. But you get a thing in there like, it would be very easy. It's a very difficult thing to kill a dragon rider while they have their dragon. But if they're alone with just a spoonful of poison peas, you'd be able to get rid of them pretty quick, wouldn't you? And that's kind of going to get into the anxiety and the paranoia that does exist right now in this time of war. I'm trying to see if we can go back and find this lady. There she is, right here. This lady comes in, and you're like, I wonder who that is. They spend some time showing her. She is going to be important later in this episode and a little bit throughout the rest of the season. And I'll talk more about her after we see the next Daemon sequence. But let's skip ahead a little bit right now. Now, we are back in King's Landing, and we are being shown that Sir Gawain Hightower, somebody who was unhorsed and defeated by Criston Cole in the tourney that we saw in the first episode of this series, he's going to be part of the forces that are sent out with Criston Cole to try to take the Riverlands, start getting people to their cause, and taking over Harrenhal. They have a history. They don't really like each other all that much. Even the fact that Criston Cole is Dornish could be one of the reasons the Hightowers have a problem with. They share a border with Dorne. They have had skirmishes and shit like that. And Gawain Hightower doesn't seem to really respect Criston Cole. And I mean, they had their issues, but also Criston Cole is, he doesn't deserve the power that he has. He just took over Otto's role as Hand of the King. So certainly Gawain Hightower is going to have a problem with Criston Cole and be very doubtful about all of these things. Now we have a sequence between Alicent and Criston that they're trying to do they're trying to play normal, like they haven't just been having like sex for the past several days, like they're not fucking illegally as they shouldn't be. But they do have moments where it's kind of like, I beg your grace for her prayers, the whole chivalry, knight, queen, that type of stuff. He asked for her favor, which if you remember, Alicent was a little jealous that he asked Rhaenyra for that favor all the way back at the tourney. So it's all kind of coming full circle in this. Criston got a haircut, maybe to go to war. See a good view of the hands interlocking with his necklace right there. And they're about to take off. And you get one view of the rat catcher. You get cheese getting eaten by a fucking raven as you do watch. Here, they're starting to take off. So some of these men are out to head to the Riverlands. Now you have Rhaenyra having a conversation with her council. Her council are like, hey, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, clearly we need to take action. There's fights breaking out right now. We need to take action now. We have dragons. We have opportunities. What are we doing sitting on our fucking hands? And Rhaenyra is still preoccupied with doing everything she can to not have this war break out. And all of her council are telling her she's fucking retarded. And she hears their stuff. She has to walk away. Rhaenys gives them a little flack for not being more patient with their queen. Some of this bullshit, right? Now we get a scene on Driftmark where Corlys and Rhaenys are there. Rhaenys is bringing him some food because obviously Corlys is still recovering. He can walk fine now, but he's probably not 100% healthy. Corlys is very obsessed, as he always has been, with his legacy. Now, that's caused Corlys to take some actions that probably, you know, some things that probably, he's done some things that probably he's overreached, and it's put his family in danger. And Rhaenys has warned against that sometimes, or Rhaenys has been down with it sometimes. It just kind of depends. But now that Corlys has seen all these things play out, he's like, and he almost dies. He's really thinking about what he's going to leave behind and what his legacy is. And, you know, right now, Joffrey would be the heir to Driftmark. And he's like, Joffrey's 6 years old. He doesn't know anything about the sea. And he probably knows that it's not actually his child as well. Rhaenys encourages him, hey, why don't you just give, like, we have Baela and Rhaena, like, make one of them heir to Driftmark. Like, they know us. They're our blood. They're more familiar with it. But this idea of Corlys needing an heir, I believe, is going to come full circle in this season at some point. We've already seen him have some interactions with Adam and Al. Well, we saw him have some interaction with Adam of Hall. Alan of Hall, obviously, we got in that second episode. There's going to be something to that brings this full circle, I would imagine, later on in this season. Rhaenys is very worried about Corlys. She's thinking, what if something happens to you? I don't know if that's the right thing to be worrying about, Rhaenys. He's just working on ships right now. You're the one flying around on a dragon. I don't know. Maybe you're in a little bit more danger. Now we have Rhaena, who has accepted the idea to take care of Rhaenyra's children, to help escort them, to make sure that they're away from Dragonstone and away from the war. So she first has to go up, I think, to the Vale and drop off Joffrey there. And then she's going to take Aegon and Viserys to Pentos. That's the plan right now. That's the plan for what's about to happen. Because remember, Jace promised a dragon to Lady Arryn of the Vale. They're sending Joffrey, who is too young to ride a dragon, and a dragon that's too young to be ridden right now. But it's the best that they can do in this situation. Now, one thing that they also point out is they're sending some dragon eggs for safekeeping. I want to see if we can find a shot of those. Here we go. Here's a shot of those dragon eggs that they're sending up. Now, you might find some of these familiar. There's been a lot of speculation about where Daenerys' eggs came from, right? When she gets given those eggs, those old-ass eggs, in the first episode of Game of Thrones, how did those get there? Now, there were rumors of, was Alyssa somebody, you know, decades and decades ago, stealing 3 eggs and potentially making off to that area. Maybe that's what happened. Maybe there were some other eggs that it could be. There's people that have theorized that those Dreamfire eggs that were stolen, maybe that's where Daenerys' dragons came from. There's also been speculation that maybe it's from Syrax. Well, we just got confirmation of that story. These 3 eggs right here are Daenerys' dragon eggs that will eventually find their way to her. Drogon, Rhaegal, and Viserion. They're right here. Look at them. You can see them. You got your yellow egg, you got your green egg, and you got your blackish, reddish egg. So, confirmation. Confirmation. Alyssa Farman, thank you. Crazy description. Well, they have just confirmed that is not where Daenerys' eggs came from. This is where Daenerys' eggs came from, not Alyssa Farman, as many people have speculated and theorized. At least according to the show, which has George R.R. Martin right alongside it, doing a lot of the background for it. So you have Rhaenyra, who's saying goodbye to her fucking children, and leaving them with Rhaena. Rhaena, who's getting sent off once again, while Baela, her sister, gets to have all these things. Remember, Rhaena, her dragon egg never hatched. So now she has the responsibility of taking these dragon eggs somewhere else. She was supposed to get Vhagar. She was supposed to be able to ride Vhagar after her mother died. That opportunity got stolen from her. So Rhaena probably feels like a lot of fucked up shit has happened, and it's very unfair. Which, yeah, might be a little unfair, but who cares? Now we get a sequence between Helaena and Alicent. And this is the first conversation we've ever seen that's actually a real conversation involving Helaena. That's not just her murmuring weird fucking shit. And Alicent, it's tough to have too much sympathy for fucking Alicent, to be honest with you. Because the first conversation we saw her have with Helaena in the aftermath of her child being murdered was, hey, we have to do our duty and appear and grieve in front of all of these people to do propaganda war shit for Otto. Helaena didn't want to do it. She got forced to do it. And then the second part of that conversation is not her comforting her daughter. It's instead trying to cover up for her affair with Criston Cole. So this is the next conversation we see between them. And Helaena is kind of talking about how I feel sad, but I don't know if I should. I saw those people out there, and like, do I have any right to be like more sad than they are? I'm sure that a lot of the small folk lose kids. I bet it happens way more to us highborn ladies, like blah, blah, blah. Kind of just talking about the idea of like the guilt and the sadness that she's feeling compared to how the small folk feel probably every fucking day of their existence. And Alicent is somebody who's put Helaena through a lot, not only making her go out there and show her grief, which she reiterates in the scene she didn't want to do, but also Helena's entire existence. Helaena was forced to marry Aegon. Aegon, who is a rapist, is a drunk, is an alcoholic, is a piece of shit. Helaena was forced to marry him. And that didn't have to happen. If you remember, there were some propositions on the table from Rhaenyra towards Alicent and Viserys where, hey, maybe Jace can marry Helaena. Maybe we can do something like that. To join our houses even more. But no, they didn't want that. Instead, Alicent pushed for Helaena to wed her brother Aegon, who is a massive pile of shit. Alicent did that to her. Alicent's done a lot to Helaena, and that's why at the end of this sequence, I do really like Olivia Cook's expressions. She looks kind of almost crazy all the time. I like Olivia Cook. And she says, I loved you, Harrison. I'm sad, but my concern is for you and like what you're going through right now. And before she has the opportunity once again to ask a little bit about what she saw, Helaena just turns and says, I forgive you. Now, what is that for? Is that I forgive you for keeping Criston Cole, the Kingsguard, in your fucking bed and fucking him while my child lay dying? Do I forgive you for forcing me into this fucking life and forcing me to marry this piece of shit and to bear his children? All of those things, it's kind of questionable what exactly she's giving her forgiveness for. But before Alicent could even ask for it or say what she was really wanted, that's what happened. Now we get a scene of Aegon getting fit with Valyrian steel armor. Now, apparently, this is Valyrian steel armor that belonged to Aegon the Conqueror. Obviously, he wouldn't be the same size as Aegon. They're probably trying to refit it and stuff like that. So we're seeing him get fit for Valyrian steel armor as he's about to hop on his dragon Sunfire and fly into battle to prove that he's just as powerful and dangerous as his brother or like other people in the realm. Well, he's surrounded by, once again, his Kingsguard, who are just fucking joking around, not acting the way Kingsguards actually should. And Lara Strong comes in. And Loras has a few things to say, that, there's some rumors that are swirling Aegon. And remember, Loras is the one who made this rift happen between Aegon and Otto initially. And has been playing all these sides off each other. Loras says, listen, there are some people that are saying, you and Criston Cole are off to, fight very heroically and to really fight for all these people in this world. And it's great to hear. But there's also some people out there that are saying the king has been tricked and manipulated by Queen Alicent and by his brother Aemond to go out there and put his life at risk in a very meaningless way. So he immediately starts Aegon questioning what the fuck is happening and who the fuck he can trust with this. And Aegon doesn't really want to go out there anyway, probably. He says he wants to, but it does seem like he's a little bit nervous about the idea of it, especially once he gets it in his head that maybe he's being gaslit into doing this, that maybe he is being manipulated by his mother and his brother, just like he was being manipulated by Otto. And as Larys turns to go, he says, my father, Viserys, the bitch king that he was, never really felt the need for a master of whisperers. I don't think that way. So now we see Larys, who's quietly been controlling and doing all of these things. Now we see that Larys is finally in that position he probably always coveted, enough to be there, right? Be there at these meetings, know what's going on at the council meetings as Master of Whisperers, and have full autonomy to do a lot of the shit that he's been doing behind the scenes as it was. We then get a sequence where his new Kingsguard, his buddies, are talking about, hey, we're going to go to the brothel later on. He's got a squire who's never fucked before. So we're going to go there. We're going to have a good time. We're going to fuck a bunch of bitches. And Aegon's like, well, you're Kingsguard now, so you have vows of chastity. And they're just like, that's a good one. That's a good one, Aegon. Oh, wait, you're not serious, are you? And kind of Aegon realizing the people that he just put in charge of him, maybe not the most honorable, but they are good buddies. I did want to show this also. This is a little bit of foreshadowing. A lot of foreshadowing happens in this show. And I don't want to spoil anything for what's to come, but this idea of Aegon looking into this mirror with, one side of his face light and the other side dark. I just think that this specific frame might be pulled up a little bit later when they talk about something that was foreshadowed. Similar to what we had in that, the second episode where Aemond holds the coin over his good eye while Harrenhal burning is in the background. Just some things to remember. Now, we get to the bar, the pub, and the brothel, which the brothel is a little bit in behind the scenes. This is the bar area, right? And we get a person who we had seen before. We saw this person who did very suspiciously, conspicuously have white hair, who we saw in the scene where we saw the rat catchers being hung. We saw him walking through King's Landing and spotting the rat catchers, asking who the fuck are they? Well, now we get an introduction. This is Ulf the White. He is an important person. He, in order to get free drinks, he's telling the story about his heritage. He says, I'm actually, I got some Targaryen blood running through me. I'm related to this person. I'm related to this person. Baelor. I'm a bastard son of Baelor. So I'm a bastard brother that they don't know of Daemon and Viserys. And, starts telling these high stories, right? Really making himself look like hot shit. Basically saying that he's completely, aligned with Rhaenyra and Aegon's, a piece of shit. As he's telling this story, and some people aren't really buying it, but they can see maybe the hair makes sense, but it's not quite the hair that we would expect from a traditional Targaryen. But he is saying, hey, I'm a bastard Targaryen. I have Targaryen blood running through me. And he's, like right here, are you saying you're a Targaryen? And as he's kind of talking all this shit about the current king. Oh, look, the rightful heir to the Iron Throne. Let me see if I can play this a little bit. Am I sharing I don't think so. Let me actually share this. I can't do that. I'll share the entire screen temporarily to get some audio. Well, that's not what I fucking wanted. That's my StreamYard. Fuck it. I don't need the sound. I'll be okay. Maybe it'll let me do it one more time. Let's see. Maybe. What the fuck? Yeah, that's stupid. Anyway, don't know why it doesn't want me to show that. I guess we just got to go with the window, unfortunately, which is kind of bullshit. But it is what it is. Now I can't even find it anywhere. Let's see. How was I showing this before but can't share it now? Found it. There we go. Media player. The rightful heir to the Iron Throne, my nephew, Prince Jacaerys Velaryon. And then somebody notices who walks in the fucking room. Hey, buddy, it's your other nephew. And that, of course, is Aegon. Ulf immediately stands up and is like, all hail King Aegon! All hail King Aegon! As he was just sitting there talking shit about him and voicing support for Team Black. So a funny little sequence. And this is leading to them. I cannot play some of this, though, because Aegon is now drunk as shit with his buddies, leading this squire to get his dick sucked, to get his dick wet for the first time ever, to lose his virginity. And I cannot show this because there's tits. There's also dick. There's like a big hard dick that's getting sucked. And we also end up seeing his brother, because we know that this is where Aemond was hanging out. I think I can show this scene. Here we go. Aegon finds Aemond in the brothel, all cuddled up next to the first person he was ever with, the first person who took over his virginity. And Aegon's just shitting all over him. Aegon's like, of course I found you here. All these other people get to have sex with, and you have this old one, the person you went with first. Like, you're such a bitch, Aemond. And Aemond has gotten bullied a lot of his life, right? This scene, like right here, this fucking scene. Remember this? Hold on. I can find it in my bookmarks. I think I bookmarked this. Yes. I did bookmark this. Look right here if I can actually share this screen now. Let me share this screen. Some things never change. Aegon is the one who is bullying Aemond about not having a dragon. And now Aegon is sitting there bullying Aemond. The same facial expression, the same fucking thing is happening right now to Aemond. He's getting bullied by his fucking brother, who's the firstborn, who always gets everything, even though he's not prepared for it, even though he's not qualified for it, even though Aemond thinks that he would make a better ruler. And the way the scene plays out is Aemond, instead of being ashamed, he fucking stands up. He shows his skinny ass body. He shows his dick, right? He's hanging dick in this episode, hanging dong in this episode, and basically says, I'm not going to sit there like and be bullied or be like ashamed or whatever. And I think this is all leading towards a moment for Aemond to stop holding back and maybe stop listening to others and maybe start doing whatever the fuck he wants. And I think that was the purpose of that sequence and that scene. Now back to Rhaenyra. Back to Rhaenyra, who is feeling a little bit guilty that she never read some of the notes from Alicent. She never even opened or read this note from Alicent. When Alicent was doing her best to apologize for what happened to Luke and put a stop to the fighting, all of that shit. And Rhaenyra now reads that, and she's feeling like maybe she should have done more. Maybe this is the last way they can end this thing about bloodshed, is this friendship that still does exist kind of between her and Alicent, this history that they have. Now we have Gwaine Hightower and his boys and Criston Cole. They have rode out in front of everybody, in front of all of the other people that's currently in their army, because they want to go to an inn. They want to fuck around. They want to have a little bit of fun. Might as well, right? And Criston Cole's like, no, we can't do that. We should go back. And he looks up at this bright sky. Let's see if we can find where this is. Yes, here we go. Criston Cole looks up and he's like, man, I guess anything could be up there. And he spots something. Says, we're exposed. They are exposed, because who is patrolling? Baela on Moondancer. Now, she had gotten the order to start patrolling around King's Landing, not to engage, just to patrol and look and inform them if there's any troop movements or anything like that, indicating that the Greens are making a play with their army and going in a certain direction. And so we do, for the first time, get to see Moondancer, which I actually think Moondancer looks really cool. I think Moondancer looks really fucking cool. It's like Moondancer's like striped. She looks a little bit more. Yeah. So they see the dragon up there. And they're like, oh, fuck, we got to get the fuck out of here. And I don't want to get hit. I got hit with copyright so much on my last stream. I still don't have my last stream of this back up because of how much copyright hit me. So I'm trying to avoid playing them too much. Here is Moondancer. Moondancer looks, I like the way she looks. I love all the dragons look and sound so different in this show. Where you did, like, the dragons, you know, Dany's dragons did look different, but it's basically just like their color. I really like how they're making all of these dragons have a very different, unique personality, look, sound, feel, everything. So I'm digging it. And Baela sees them, and she's like, fuck, I'm gonna head down and get their ass. And we see them fucking trying to run away. Palette swap, yeah. We got them fucking racing. I really don't want to get hit with copyright because HBO, you cocksucking motherfuckers, hit me again. I just want to see the real dive bomb. Show me the dive. Here we go. I love this sequence too because you see her diving and you see the fucking wings and the stripes and the fucking mohawk thing that she's got. And it's like, hey, let's really dive. Fucking tuck in deep like a falcon or whatever and do a dive bomb. And Baela chases them. Baela chases them all the way to the fucking woods. And they barely escape. Now, I think that Baela could have fucking burned him. I think she could have cooked him and killed him right there. And you're going to find out a little bit. She was under orders not to, right? We had already seen that in the first thing. She was told very specifically, don't engage, just report back to me. So she probably shouldn't have even dive bombed them the way that she did. But I guess she maybe wanted to see who it was or scare them or whatever. Or maybe she was thinking in her head, maybe I should kill these motherfuckers. But she doesn't burn them. She doesn't go full Dracarys, and they are able to escape. And what this does is Gwaine realizes, holy shit, Kristen just saved our lives. I didn't really respect this guy. Maybe there is more to him than meets the eye, and I do have a little respect for him now. He saved our lives, and maybe I should listen to him a little more than I have been. Now, back on Dragonstone, Baela comes back and reports, hey, this is what we saw. The Ravens confirmed the movements. Baela's like, it was Kristen Cole that's doing it. And everyone's like, how did you know it's Kristen Cole on Dragonback? She's like, well, I got close enough that I can tell. And Rhaenyra's like, what do you mean you got close enough you can tell? And she's like, well, you told me don't engage. I didn't engage, but I got pretty close and I know it was Kristen Cole. So this is now the moment. They're moving troops. Rhaenyra, it pisses me off how Rhaenyra refuses to take action constantly. And it is very much like her father. And there's two ways to take it. There's one way it's like, hey, look at the women who are trying not to start a war. Or it's look at the women who are so reluctant to take action that they're going to make this war way fucking worse than it actually needed to be. And now that they're actually moving troops and moving on Harrenhal, they haven't heard anything back from Daemon yet. They're moving in on Harrenhal, and still Rhaenyra reluctant to take action. Now we have Daemon. And Daemon is in Harrenhal, and in his bedroom, there's just fucking water everywhere that's dripping from the ceilings. Daemon just looks fucking annoyed. And one of the questions was, would you feel like safe here? You know, would you feel safe sleeping in Harrenhal? Obviously, it didn't seem like there was anything that was going to be wrong, but he does have the door barred with a sword. And all of a sudden, he starts hearing things. He starts hearing like people are trying to get in. Like people are fucking knocking on the door and like banging it and trying to get inside. Daemon's like, all right, I'll see what the fuck's out there. And there's nothing out there. It's empty. So Daemon's like, that's kind of weird. He starts walking around the castle. He hears a voice real quietly. It's Daemon. Right? He's starting to hear a couple things, and it's all leading him towards this room. And he goes in there, and this is so ironic, right? Because Daemon came here to fight people. Daemon came in here to fight his enemy. And instead, he gets kind of welcomed with open arms. And instead, now it looks like what Daemon's going to have to deal with are visions in his head, kind of indicating that he might be his own worst enemy in a lot of ways. Maybe that's what Daemon's at Harrenhal to fight. It's him. which is interesting. But he walks in there, and you might recognize the voice. You're definitely going to recognize this face that you'll see in a second. Again, don't want to get hit by copyright, so we're slowing it down a little bit. And it's Millie Alcock from House of the Dragon Season 1, young Rhaenyra, who is sewing on the severed head of Jacaerys Targaryen, who had just got murdered. So Rhaenyra's like, you always make a mess of things, and I have to come and clean up after you, implying that because of what Daemon did, because of his actions, a son for a son, the death of Jacaerys, now, Rhaenyra, older Rhaenyra, is now having to try to fix what happened. Pretty gruesome scene, and a pretty haunting sequence for Daemon, who then snaps awake, and he's not in a room. Rhaenyra's not there. Young Rhaenyra's not there. He's out. Where is he? He's out in front of a weirwood. That is kind of a brutal sequence. Matt Smith's acting is great here. Matt Smith's acting is great in this sequence. Where are we? He drops it and he snaps awake. And he's actually outside Harrenhal in front of a weirwood tree. Interesting how that happens, isn't it? A lot of conversations or things that are happening in front of the weirwood trees in House of the Dragon. And like we said, Harrenhal, known to maybe be cursed, that people feel that there's ghosts, that it's haunted, that there's some kind of magic in the walls. And then as he's out there, he finds that someone is also out there with him. And that is the woman that we saw. There's a good shot. She's looking at him as all this is happening, and she just says, you will die in this place. There seems to be something spooky about her. There's a vibe about her. Now, this is Alice Rivers. Alice Rivers is thought to be maybe a bastard of a Strong, potentially Lionel Strong, maybe. Might be weird to think that Lionel Strong, as we saw him, may have fathered an illegitimate child, because he did seem pretty honorable, but this is the world of Game of Thrones, after all. A lot of people have bastards. A lot of men have bastards out of wedlock. But Alice Rivers is a wet nurse, but there's also weird other rumors that swirl around her. Some people think that she might be a witch. Some people think she might be older than what she appears to be, that maybe she was actually a wet nurse to Lionel Strong when he was young, which would make her like 80 or 90 years old, but she doesn't appear that old. But there's a lot of weird feelings and rumors that swirl about Alice Rivers, and people say that she gives people visions, that she's a witch, that she has some kind of magical abilities. And I think we're going to see a little bit more of her in this season and in subsequent seasons of House of the Dragon. Now back to Rhaenyra. Rhaenyra pulls Lady Mysaria in there, and Rhaenyra's like, listen, I think maybe the only chance to stop this is to talk to Alicent. You know King's Landing. You know the habits of these people. Is there any opportunity I would have to speak to Alicent when she's alone? And Mysaria's like, at first, I don't, there's only one thing that I could possibly fucking think of. One time that she's ever alone. And next thing you know, Rhaenyra undercover in King's Landing as a septa to go talk to Alicent while she is praying. Now, we do have one member of the Kingsguard also in disguise along with her. I have thoughts about this. The idea of Rhaenyra being able to sneak into King's Landing in this way, I don't think it's super far-fetched, because quite frankly, no one would recognize Rhaenyra at all. People just don't. The small folk don't know what their leaders look like. They don't know what their lords look like half the time. They don't fucking know, other than what they have displayed on them. That's why everybody has their crest displayed on them. It's one of the reasons that they do. So the idea of her being able to sneak and like walk by people in the middle of King's Landing, not the most ridiculous thing in the world. I think the most ridiculous thing is that they went from having the conversation about it to it happening. Now, in real world, this is going to take like a day or two to get this shit in motion. I wish that they would have maybe sequence the events of this episode so that the conversation happens with Mysaria around the halfway point, and then maybe to end the episode, you have this happen to actually imply that some time has passed. Because right now it feels like they have a conversation, they get on a boat and they're gone. it would take some planning. And also the idea of Rhaenyra leaving for a day or two when her council is at her throat to take action might not make that much sense either. But in principle, the idea of her disguising herself as a septa and no one noticing, don't really have a problem with that in general, because nobody really knows what these leaders look like. But they do know that Alicent goes to pray, and that's basically the only time that she's ever alone. Rhaenyra comes up next to Alicent and essentially gets her attention, and Alicent damn near fucking kills her, right? Alicent damn near fucking kills her. And even when she realizes her, she still doesn't know what to do. Like, it's shocking. And she's like, what if I scream right now? And Rhaenyra's like, well, if you scream right now, they'll come and they'll fucking kill me, but not before I have a chance to kill you, I guess. And it is almost kind of a funny sequence in a way. There is a little bit of humor to it. The silly fucking way that they went about it. But this entire thing really calls back to the conversation they had around this very same place, around these very same candles in season 1 when they were young and they were trying to, get through some of the problems at that point in time. And this is like this is the Hail Mary for Rhaenyra to try to come to Alicent to get some understanding to prevent this war. And Alicent's like, well, what are you going to do? Are you going to surrender? Rhaenyra's like, no. Well, what is there to fucking talk about then? Because Aegon has a lot of power. Aegon has a lot of powerful houses behind him. He has armies that are closer. He has the throne. He's living in the Red Keep. Like, what leverage do you think you have, Rhaenyra, if you're not actually willing to take any action? And they start to have a conversation. And Rhaenyra's like, I don't believe you. I don't believe that you would do something like this. You're a fucking liar. The idea that Viserys would change his mind. I talked to Viserys hours before he died. And he told me he wanted me to be the heir, just like he had his entire fucking life. And you're telling me he all of a sudden changed his mind? That's bullshit. And that leads Alicent into telling, no, he did, I swear. He told me, he said Aegon's name. And starts talking a little more. And Rhaenyra's like, what are you talking about? Like, what was he saying to you? What were his exact words before he died? And Alicent says he was talking about something, the prince who was promised, and he thought it was Aegon. And it fucking clicked. Wait, he told you the prophecy? He told you about the Song of Ice and Fire? That Aegon the Conqueror, the dream that Aegon the Conqueror had? That's what he told you? Aegon the Conqueror, not your son, Aegon? And as that happens, you kind of see Alicent starting to like, holy shit. Like, no, that can't be true. That can't be true. That's impossible. And still kind of refusing to really believe that, but you see it sinking into her. And Rhaenyra's like, please, Alicent, just tell them you made this mistake. And Alicent's like, what can I fucking do? Even if I did want to do that, what can I do? I have no power. My father's been sent back to Old Town or wherever he went now. He's no longer hand of the king. You know how Aegon is. You know how Kristen is. He's hand of the king now. You know what kind of person Aemond is. He's a fucking monster. I don't have any power to change anything. I'm helpless. And Alicent essentially stands up and walks away. And, that's it. That was the last vestige of hope that they had to potentially stop this war, even if it was a long shot. But Alicent has no power to do anything. And that might very well be the last time these two ever see each other. And then that's it. That's the episode. I did want to see. Let's see if I can find. I wish I'd bookmarked it. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. I don't think I did. But there was somebody did like a side by side and a mashup of Alicent and Rhaenyra talking in season 1 around that table and them talking now. It was really good. They did pick actresses that look enough like those characters. It is very, very believable. Those are the same people. They have the same mannerisms and shit. They did a great job casting. So overall, my issues I have with the episode are I don't like how quickly Rhaenyra is to trust Mysaria to do all this stuff. She's essentially put her life in Mysaria's hands. Now, Mysaria did save her life. Fair. But this is somebody who has shown over time that they might be willing to sell anybody out for the right price. So I think it's a very dangerous and reckless thing for Rhaenyra to do, to trust Mysaria. And I don't really buy that their connection would happen that fast. And then I don't like how quickly you jump from plan to going to King's Landing. I do think the scene between them was really good. The scene between Rhaenyra and Alicent I thought was fucking great. And finally resolved a lot of the shit that they've been kind of dealing with or thinking about each other for the past while now. And I think it was necessary. And I wish it could have been done maybe a little less ham-fisted. The premise of Rhaenyra going undercover as a Septa, I don't have any problem with in and of itself, because although it is a little wild, it is also true that people do not recognize these leaders. They don't know what they fucking look like. They just don't. They know because of who's with them, because they're surrounded by Kingsguard, because of what they're wearing, because of the emblems on their chest. That's how these people are recognized. And especially when you cover up that white hair, I don't think too many people are going to look a second glance. But Rhaenyra, Rhaenyra is pissing me off because her inaction is what is going to lead to more damage being done. Just like Alicent's inaction led to more damage being done. Just like Rhaenys inaction led to more damage being done. And these women who think that they can have a softer touch or even lead men are proving time and time again that this is not a world where you can be indecisive and decide to sit back and see how things go. This is a world where you need to show strength. And if you don't show strength, people are going to doubt you. Her council's doubting her right now. Her council doesn't believe she has what it takes to be the ruler. And they are her biggest supporters. How should everybody else feel about the situation? Women are not made to rule this world. That's just the bottom line. And that's what people are quickly discovering. Overall, the couple hiccups with the episode. I don't think this was, after rewatching it, I love the Daemon stuff. I love the symbology of Daemon going there looking for a fight and finding that he's actually only fighting his own demons there. And I love the horror aspect and the dream shit and the haunted feeling of Harrenhal. I hope we get a lot more of that in the next episodes to come, because Daemon should stay at Harrenhal for quite some time. So I really hope we get to see that shit, because I thought that was fantastic. I really want to see him have a similar type of vision with Viserys. We need that. We need Patty back as Viserys for this shit. Fuck, give me that. Inject that shit into my fucking veins. I really want to see that. But yeah, so I thought there was a lot of good things in this episode. A couple things that I think are bullshit, but for the most part, really solid episode. I don't know if it's as good overall as the last episode. Upon the rewatch, episode 2 is fucking amazing. Some of the highest points in the series, I think, were from last episode. The Rhaenyra and Daemon fight that they had, and obviously the Cargill twins at the end was gold. But also Otto, Aegon, and Kristen. That sequence was phenomenal. Upon rewatch, I felt a lot better about it than I did the first time through. So we'll see about this one, how I feel about this one once I watch it again. But overall, now it's all leading up to episode 4. Now the preview, the trailer for episode, sorry, got a fucking text and got distracted because I was reading and talking at the same time. The preview shows that you've been waiting for dragons on dragons. You've been waiting for fire and blood. You've been waiting for actual war. It's coming next episode. We'll just put it that way. This can no longer be stopped. It's in motion. It's happening, regardless of whether these people are ready to take action or not. And we're going to have some losses taken. We're going to have some losses taken in the next episode. But I won't spoil it for anybody that doesn't want to be spoiled. Yes, Solar Dragon, Rook's Rest. Rook's Rest. That's it. That's all we got. If anybody's got any like questions or whatever, we'll be back at it next week. Next week is going to be wild and crazy. My only complaint is it's not long enough. But these are like hour-long episodes, though. These are hour-long episodes. I think season 3 is when we'll get Battle Above the God's Eye. I think season 3. Maybe season 3 finale or something. Did I see leaks about how he or she dies next episode? I don't think I've seen leaks about it. No, I mean, I'm not sure. We know what happened in the book, but I don't know how exactly it's going to play out. Is the woman Nettle, Ryan? No, that is Alice Rivers. That is not Nettles. That is Alice Rivers, who might be a witch, might have some magic abilities. Who fucking knows? Who fucking knows? If the Greens got to Harrenhal first, do you think the Strongs would have given in to them as fast as they did to Daemon? Probably. Probably. This episode's set up a lot. I don't want to be spoiled. This is one show I do not want spoilers for at all. I got the spoiler that Millie Alcock was going to be in the episode like 3 hours before it happened. So Vermithor for 5. Want to see Patty one more time. Maybe Aegon flying over the castle when he burned it, or maybe even a future tournament that takes place there. Maybe. I don't know if we'll see like visions of like Aegon. I think we're going to see visions of Daemon reliving things, right? I don't think we're going to get to see Daemon, because these are not like dragon dreams, right? These are, in my opinion, these are visions that are happening either specifically because of Alice Rivers or because there is truly something with Harrenhal because of the way it was built, because of how many people have died there. There is something going on. Like it is actually cursed or haunted in some way. I'm shocked they haven't introduced Nettles. Yeah, we have gotten all of the dragon seeds at this point. We've had Adam, we've had Hugh, we've had Ulf. We haven't seen Nettles though. I don't know if she's going to be in it. Suns and Shadows with 5 gifted memberships. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate the gifted memberships. Who do you think should be king? To be honest, I think that I think Aegon should be king. By the rules of Westeros, Aegon should be king. Now, I'm on Team Black because Greens are pieces of shit, and I like Daemon. But yeah, Aegon should be king. It was foolish of Viserys to not change his heir. It was foolish of him to name Rhaenyra in general, and not leave it at Daemon. Daemon should have got it if he didn't have a son. But once he had a son, it should have been Aegon. It's the way this fucking world works. It's the way it should work, and there's a reason for it. And at the end of the day, Viserys, whether it was because he got offended over what Daemon said, or whether it's because he was too weak to change off Rhaenyra, Viserys' reign. Viserys is like a great person. Like he's such like it seems like he has a good heart and he's so well intentioned. But Viserys is not a good king, because sometimes it's not just about that. Sometimes it's about making decisions that don't feel good for your heart, that don't feel good to your soul, but are the things that need to happen to protect a legacy, to protect a kingdom, to protect the lineage. And every opportunity he had to do that, Viserys typically shied away. So, not a good king. And I'm not going by like who I think is the most moral person. I'm saying the rules. The rules dictate Aegon should be king. Bottom fucking line. That's it. There are a lot of people who I think would make good kings. Jacaerys would make a great king. He makes a great heir, and it's ironic with what we'll see later happening. I think that Aemond would be a better king than Aegon. I think Aemond actually does have a sense of, now he's kind of fucked up in some ways, right? But he actually, and we did see that he was, in a lot of ways, sometimes it's trying to get revenge on the people that fucking bullied him or he felt bullied him. But he does have a sense of duty. He does have a sense of honor, and he cares about his past. He cares about the Targaryen family. He cares about legacy. Like, he cares about that shit. I think Aemond would make a much better king than Aegon. To be king, you got to have 7 inches. And maybe he's a grower, not a shower. Just saying that there are people out there. There are growers and showers. Maybe he's a grower. I don't know. But that's going to about do it for me, guys. With this stream is a little bit shorter than the last one. I tried to not play as many clips so I wouldn't have to get hit by fucking HBO again this time. But we had almost 500 people show up to watch this, which is awesome. I appreciate it, guys. And we'll be doing this same thing next week, next Monday. And make sure to tune in on Sunday for our immediate reactions. Myself, Mahler, Gary, and sometimes Fringy, sometimes Shad. You never quite know, on the Nerdrotic channel in the immediate aftermath of the show. But that's it. I will talk to you guys next week. Thanks for hanging out. We'll talk to you later.